A couple of things. First and foremost, the fires in Northern California, NoCal fires, okay? Everybody is saying, whoa, wait a minute, hold it. They were zoomed in. They looked at the areas, citizen journalism, better than ever, actually saying, look, the trees that surrounded these houses, they were saved. Look, in an hour, porcelain, glass, molten steel, all melted. There were people who posited connections just between Agenda 21, direct energy weapons, lasers, and the like. Look, I'm not saying that's true.
I've seen those pictures. They are very amazing. As a matter of fact, I was tempted to take it down and talk to some firefighters that just didn't have time to do that kind of on-the-ground reporting. I haven't seen any firefighters talk about that, but I mean, it is amazing to see these trees, as you point out, that are green, and yet you've got concrete buildings or whatever melted down into ash in the midst of all these trees that didn't catch fire. Really strange.
And interesting what is left. It's funny how avionics, a lot of military industrial complex type of factories are left. All I'm saying is that that's number one. Okay, terrific. Then we have another derailment. Okay, look, I've got news for you. But if I went to somebody from another planet, some Venusian who says, we calculated that there are at any given time, I don't know how many thousands of trains running, who, believe it or not, Alex, sometimes they take those curves a little fast. Sometimes they're a little distracted. And the odds of this, whenever it goes up, it's still, they have figured out a lot of things, but, and I'm no expert, but then somebody says, whoa, wait, look at this. Antifa said they were going to target this rail right here. And look, we have saved the tweet. Hey, Twitter, you know how you want to shut down everybody's Twitter tweet about, I don't know, pro-Trump? Would you maybe bring that one back? Oh, no. Because you see, Twitter, it just so happens these people, these Antifa folks, actually predicted this. Oh, no. Twitter, this is good. You can help the police. Okay, that's that. David, Las Vegas. We just forgot about Las Vegas. That's just it. You got Mike.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's gone.
You got Mike, the fellow from, what's his name? The Vitamin Mike, who does this incredible breakdown of the sounds of this, the sonic analyticals. There's two shooters. We forget about that. I'm still trying to figure out chemtrails, believe it or not, in a kind of a weird, kind of a directed energy, kind of a dome of aluminum. Look. Make a long story short, let me stop right there. This is what the American mainstream media say. I don't know. Remember, David, when Columbo first came out? Columbo was so fantastic. And Columbo was a great show. And you can see the early Columbo, not the later Columbo when he kind of lost his mind, but the early Columbo. And you would find out, you would say somebody was killed, and then Columbo would figure out how. And he would pick up, he says, wow, look at this, ma'am, a cigarette butt. Whoever, this person was right-handed. Why? Because, and no clue, no investigatory aspect was too arcane, too recondite, too weird, too strange. Now, if we did Columbo today, the way mainstream media handles the aforementioned issues, it would go something like this. Sir, did you know who killed your wife? No. Okay, that's it. End of show. Nobody investigates. Nobody
says, oh, and one more thing.
Yes. Yeah,
He'd always do that. He'd stop and turn around and go, oh, one more thing.
Now, stop. I want everybody to listen to me right now. Let's change the facts. Assume, as we say in law, arguendo. Assume that a group called not Antifa, because that's associated with Soros and lefties and all that kind of stuff. But let's just assume instead there was a group of people that were associated with Trump, right wing, somebody the Southern Poverty Law Center identified, somebody else. Let's say they were the group versus Antifa. Okay. You know that Don Lemon and these people would have been all over this. Let's assume it was the some right wing Cliven Bundy.
Let's just say it was a KKK.
KKK, David Duke, Jared Kushner, and just anybody else. You would have seen Columbo put to shame. But because we say, don't bring up anything about Las Vegas, Yeah, but Mike Adams, I don't care about Mike Adams. Just let it go. Okay, Northern California fires. I asked somebody this question the other day, and I'm not an expert, but I'm kind of like Columbo. I just ask simple things. Remember, jurors aren't experts either, David, when they're asked to determine the fate of human beings. But if I said, you mean to tell me that with all of these satellites that are out there, these satellites that, remember one time Bin Laden supposedly said before he died 10 years before, Marfan said, but I digress. But Bin Laden apparently said something like, we even took our radium dial watches off because the satellites can read and locate. Okay, with all of the satellites, you mean nobody's figured out a way that says, hey, listen, guys, if ever you find a heat source over X thousand degrees, zoom in, pick up the phone, we'll have a plane there, we'll dump water on it. We're not going to let it go to an acre. You just let us know, move the satellites right here because these are where the fires are. This is the email I got, David. Oh, no, you know. No, these things move quickly. Well, why? Where? Why did 5 different fire sources burn like that? I mean, well, you see, and then normal people, whereas you and I ask questions, my friends answer questions. Well, you see, the reason, thank you, Red Adair. Remember him? Oh, you're an expert now on fires. Well, see, these things are very dry. Yes, I understand how they flourish. So all I'm saying is you have all of these people out there catching all this great B-roll, and not one person asks about any kind of perhaps reason for this. Nobody's talking about derailments. The mainstream media care nothing about anything.
You're absolutely right. We're going to be back with Lionel. We got to take a quick break, Lionel, and we're going to be back with the dog that didn't bark. Nobody's asking some obvious questions about some of these anomalies. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Lionel. I'm David Knight. I'm David Knight, and Lionel has just laid out a whole string of strange things that have happened when somebody says, well, yeah, that's kind of strange, but look at that over there. Just walk away from it. Whether we're talking about Las Vegas or the California fires or the train wreck that we just saw there, we have a very short attention span, and they're able to use that very well, aren't they, Lionel? When we move on, and you were talking about the dog that didn't bark. I mean, certainly you would think that people would ask some questions with it, but I just don't think we have enough of an attention span to focus on one thing, and then they move us on to the next one, because that's the news cycle, and it's also the attention deficit disorder of the American public.
Don't have any, how do we say this? We don't ask any questions, but we also don't follow up. And by the by, before we let this thing go, look, I'm a retired Catholic. I have no problems with or against the Catholic Church. I had great nuns and great teachers and great priests. Never was touched, slapped, spanked, nothing. I've got no problem with them. No, really, never. But what is with Bergoglio, this Pope? You're going to give Cardinal Law a full? Yeah. Are you out of your mind? Look, you can do whatever you want. You know, sometimes they say, should this mafia don receive a Catholic funeral? Well, he did some good, and I'm not going to tell the church what to do. But do you know how bad this PR is? I mean, do you? Oh, yeah. This Bernard Law, you shipped him out to Rome to basically save his life, and and you're going to give him, full military 21. Whatever.
And now they've taken Cardinal Pell, who was he was like number 2 or 3 at the Vatican. He's gone back to Australia to answer crimes there because they removed the statute of limitations for pedophilia. So it's kind of interesting to see how this happens. When the Pope came to the U.S., the last stop that he had was up in Philadelphia, where they had this same type of situation. It might have been the same cardinal. I forget what the guy's name was, but he had been moved to Florida, and the Pope brought him back for Families United or something. It's like, Families United, why don't you take care of these pedophiles or these people in the structure who've been moving them around like a shell game, to hide them from accountability.
It's horrible.
It's amazing.
Horrible and despicable when they're talking about they were going to excommunicate Teddy Kennedy years ago, big deal, but for his stance on abortion. And what do you got to do to get excommunicated in this group? I mean, covering up for pedophilia. Yeah. But David, before we forget, listen, I know you don't make a big deal out of UFOs. I don't know, editorial thing, maybe that's your stuff. But they're here. I don't know what people need to know. I don't know what you need, but people that I know who believe in everything, who actually have not aluminum foil, tin foil, actual, you've got tin foil still, they believe in everything, but when it comes to UFOs, oh, come on, stop it. Look.
No, actually, I do believe in extraterrestrials. I mean, we're here at a time of year where we celebrate the angels singing and the demons and so. I absolutely do believe in extraterrestrials. I just don't necessarily believe they're the Steven Spielberg kind of extraterrestrials.
Without well, put it this way. People will say, well, have you ever seen one? Have you ever seen one? I've never seen an electron either. I've never seen one, but they're there. And I've got news for you. Let me just leave you with this. Speaking of the Catholic Church and religion, you're going to dig this one. You know, the Catholic Church is very, very open. They even have their own Vatican. And by the way, you're a production staff. Before I even say it, you've got the graphic up there. I don't know how you do it, but it's spooky.
It's mental telepathy. We put something in your body that
it's mental. It's that brain force. You would say, I knew you were going to say that. But there are the Vatican astronomer has said, and the popes have posited, that most likely there are other brothers and sisters. But here's the best part. If they're there, the Pope and the Vatican doesn't know whether they have original sin. Translation, they may not have to ask for forgiveness. They may not need to be born again. Now, let me put it to you that way. Imagine like one of these, who is that, Joel Osteen says, excuse me, what? They don't have, they don't need this church.
Joel Osteen's going to tell you they got more money than we have, so we should join them. I don't know. But, you know, the Pope is also telling me that we're going to melt down if we don't take care of climate change. So I don't necessarily look at the Vatican scientific councils for any answers.
You're pointing out the little things. I mean, also, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Pope, this goes back to Pius the 12th. I got my Piuses confused. Pius, J.P. Deuce, John Paul. They absolutely said that evolution, they had no problem with this. People say, well, the Catholic Church is against evolution. No, they never said this, as long as the final spirit is imbued by God. Look, all I'm saying is this. There is a reluctance, even among, as I call my family here, members of the conspiratorium and the clerisy, a hands-off approach to UFOs. You listen to me and you listen good. Not only are they there, but if we sat one down and I said, go ahead, tell them about the rocket. You do what? Yeah, we have rockets. You have rockets. What do you mean rockets? Yeah, we have solid fuel. You use fuel? Well, we can't go behind, be close to the speed of light. Why not? You're doing what? I mean, this is your Nobel Prize. This is it. The Earth is 7.5 billion years old or something. That's 7,500 million years old.
Yeah.
Oh, they tell us. If
they're the rock that had the label on it. That's right. Go ahead.
But there's something that's 7,501 million years. They have a million years on it. Think about this.
In 6 months. Yeah.
From 1903 to 1969, from Kitty Hawk and the Wright brothers to landing on the moon, whatever. But anyway, for 66 years, we went through a lot of changes. Now, you give somebody a million years. I'm telling you right now, I don't know what it is, if it's an in-house rule, but you listen to me. Not only are they here, but the idea of here is something we can understand. What do you mean here? We're everywhere. We're in the multiverse. You're looking at the visible spectrum because you see, David, if humans don't see something, well, we don't. It's not there. When the microscope came along, well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Yes, there are critters there. That's right. I am telling you, and there are more people. And David, if you ask people, military, pilots, commercial pilots, and they said, as a friend of mine said, there's only one button in the cockpit that'll get you fired. And he pointed to the microphone. You know that nobody is going to tell anybody.
Not the ejector seat. Yeah.
Yes, nobody's going to tell anybody anything since World War II, since Foo Fighters. I'm telling you right now, and we laugh at this, and we laugh, but if you want to see something that will completely disrupt humankind, if all of a sudden something makes human beings speak in terms of not being a Palestinian or an Israeli or an American or a Canadian, but in terms of being an earthling, and if you really get a new world order where jurisdiction completely.
As a matter of fact, we had our film festival here when I first started. We had the Paul Revere Film Festival. There was a guy, his entry was late, but it was an excellent, I don't know if you saw that or not, but it was excellent production. Then he had Reagan talking about the thing that would unite us all would be some extraterrestrial presence or whatever. And then he put it in there in the context of like a false flag type of thing or something that they were running there. But, you know, quite frankly, I do believe that there's extraterrestrials. I mean, I believe in angels. I believe in demons. I believe in the Nephilim, that type of thing. I believe that there will be deceptions of people saying, hey, no, actually, you know, we evolved, we've got these spaceships, whatever. I mean, you know, I'm open to all that kind of stuff. I understand that there are things that we don't see that are real, that have a real presence. And just like you're talking about, we don't see gravity, but we feel the effect of it. Go ahead.
What is a Nephilim? Is that Fred and the Nephilim with I Love Lucy?
The fallen ones, as I point out. And look up Genesis 6 after the program.
You're talking about